It's Toby from Heavyweight MMA again here with Colby Thicknesse to talk about an upcoming fight, Suga Sean O'Malley against Frankie the Answer Edgar. Should be a good one, man.
Oh man, I'm hyped for this matchup. It's finally going to be good to see Sean face sort of like a worthy opponent, I guess some people could say. Obviously, he's faced Cheeto, and we all saw how that went. But it'll be good to see how he goes against a sort of a veteran of the sport and like a really crafty ex-lightweight, now bantamweight in Frankie Edgar.
That's it, man. Like Sean's got a lot of haters, man. Sugar Sean, a lot of haters. But I've watched quite a bit of his podcasts online, and I think he's a good guy, man. He's kind of entertaining, interesting character, pretty open to learning and doing lots of different things to make himself a better person. So I reckon he's kind of cool, actually. I know he's got a lot of hate. He looks a bit like a poodle or something, a skinny poodle. But apart from the look, he seems like a pretty cool dude,
Yeah, I listened to his podcast on Theo Von, I think, and that was before the Cheeto fight. And I was actually a pretty big fan of him and that sort of thing. Even back then, I did want to see him sort of face the top echelon guys sort of thing. But at the end of it, I don't think he's like a bad guy or anything. Obviously, he's just sort of the UFC's building him as that hype train. They're trying to get their marketing force behind him. They're going to sort of give him the few easier fights so he can get them nice big highlight reels, and I think this is going to be a really good test and sort of show where his ceiling is. Be like, if we think he'll be able to become like a champion, if he's just going to be a contender, or sort of where he eventually will end up in the division by how his result goes from this fight.
Yeah, man. People criticize his path at the moment, that he's chosen a couple of different people, apparently chosen people that are a bit easier for him, etc. Like he mentioned, if you got to choose between A and B fighter and you're getting paid the same, you'd probably just take the B fighter, right? Like if it's going to help your career and you can slowly progress and move up slower than they generally do in UFC, right? Like people get thrown to the lions pretty quickly normally, but if he can get this grounding and slowly churn through some opponents, get the skill up a bit higher, and then he can take on the top echelon. Like he says his goal is to be a champion. Whether he can or not, I'm not sure, but for now he's on the right path,
Yeah, exactly right. It's like you said, if you get paid to fight fighter A or fighter B, you're going to probably, most smart people would pick that easier option for that bigger payday. Like they could have maybe, who knows, they might have said Eddie Weiland versus someone else. But if you look at not even on that fight, but just that finish did to his stock and everything, he absolutely exploded after that KO. And even against the Chris Munich, like his latest fight, him just putting on that showcase, that first round, dribbling into spinning back kicks and stuff like that. Like, obviously, he might have been able to fight different opponents, but every time he gets more highlight reel, it sort of adds to his personality and his stock goes up. So it works that way for him as well.
Yeah, man. With this fight, I've heard a bit of talk about it, but nothing confirmed yet. And it worries me that he might not take it because I don't know if it's a very good matchup for him, to be honest. Like, I'm just looking at the history of his fights, and he hasn't fought really any names. You'd say like a couple of guys they're tough, but they're not the names. When you look at Frankie Edgar's history, he's fought fucking everyone, man. He's fought like so many people: BJ Penn, Gray Maynard, Benson Henderson, Jose Aldo. He beat fucking Charles Oliveira, man. He beat Cub Swanson. He beat Uriah Faber, Chad Mendez. He lost a couple of times to Auto. Beat Jeremy Stevens, Yair Rodriguez. He lost to Brian Ortega, Cub Swanson. He won again. Like he fought Max Holloway, Chan Sung Jung. He lost to them, but he's fought so many big names, man. It's like it doesn't seem like a good matchup. Even though I like Sugar, I like to see him go well. I'm not sure it's the best fight for him. So let's see if he actually takes it, eh?
Yeah, that's true because, who knows? He might get another name where he can get another 50K bonus or KO of a night or something like that, build his sort of profile off another big highlight reel KO, and he doesn't have to sort of face like a legend like Edgar because obviously by far this will be Sean's biggest test. And like you said, Frankie's been in there with some of the greatest mixed martial artists on the planet ever sort of thing. So there's nothing Sean's going to sort of bring or show him that he hasn't been confronted with before. Like it's not like people might think like, oh, Sean's a big bantamweight. Like it doesn't matter. Frankie used to fight a fucking lightweight. Like the size and the reach and stuff, Frankie knows how to deal with a lot of the unique problems that Sean brings to 135. I think Frankie would have seen them all before. He has the answers to solve the puzzles and stuff like that.
Yeah, man. Now looking at O'Malley and his skill set, like watching how he's fought the last few times, he seems great at that range, obviously, because he's got such a large range for the weight division. On Edgar, he's got a few centimeters. I think it was here 12 centimeter height advantage, and and 10 centimeter reach advantage. So those two, again, it combines together to be a very good distance advantage. So he can use that length. He's great with kicks, punches, good at flinching these days. And if he can control the pace, he does really, really, really well, you know. What do you think of him as a fighter?
I rate him highly. I think a lot of the things he does, he's just taken out like his character and everything and actually looking at his fighting ability. He's a very skillful fighter. Like the way his distance management, his timing on his shots, his range, he's like a sniper in a sense where he'll fake. He'll find the shot, he lands. He's obviously got power. He puts people away if he lands. He's good at setting them up. He's good defensively. He doesn't sort of get careless and rush in. Like overall, I think he's got a very good skill set. I don't think we've seen him tested enough on the ground against a real sort of good high level wrestler. Obviously, Cheeto got him to the ground and that sort of thing, but that was also the issue with the calf kicks and everything like that. But on the feet, I think Sean O'Malley is very, very sort of he is highly regarded, and I think he definitely deserves to be. Like you said, his straight punches are good, his looks, his fakes, his distance management, everything, even his cage control and how he can cut people off. He'll cut someone off purposely, get them going to the right so he can throw his left leg as a spinning back kick, setups like that, which is pretty hard to do, and he makes it look effortless. So I rate him very highly on the feet.
And just what you mentioned then made Jimmy Crute pop into my mind. So Jimmy Crute, when he hurt his ankle or when the same sort of thing, he got the dead leg from the nerve hit, he went down and he fought on the ground like aggressively. Sean O'Malley got hurt in the leg and fell down and then just basically let himself go and said, I'm going to die now. You can kill me. So like that's something else to kind of think of. Like he doesn't really handle the adversity too well, right? Like that was his chance to show his ground fighting that he keeps talking about as well. And he showed zero. He just gave up. And that's something that sort of speaks a bit, right? When you're about to fight a champion that's pushed through everything, does he have the willpower if he gets hurt, if he gets beaten up to keep going, you know, because he might actually face this in Edgar.
Yeah, exactly right. Same with his latest fight. Obviously, he was bashing this guy and everything, but the later rounds, Old Mate did start to land a few shots in that purely because Sean's so used to sparking people and putting them away. And I think when he fights someone, if he goes head to someone like Frankie, who's going to be there in his face, do we know if it's going to be 3 or 5 rounds or they haven't said anything like that?
It's on the undercard, man. So I believe it'll be an undercard fight. Actually, I don't even know, but I believe what they were talking about putting it on a main event. So he's not going to be in the top, the main event of that. And so we could probably assume 3 rounds. Yeah.
3 rounds. Yeah. But even 3 rounds, having Frankie Edgar's pace and like we've seen, Frankie's been in some absolute wars before. Like there's no quitting him. He's one of the guys you're going to have to kill him or you're going to have to knock him out or put him to sleep to actually get him to physically quit inside the cage. Whereas Sean, on the other hand, we've seen him deal with adversity once and he didn't overcome it very well. So, yeah, that's going to be another sort of cool factor to look into how it's going to play out.
Yeah, man. Talk about Edgar. You mentioned like his pressure and pace is pretty like unstoppable, man. Like he just keeps going. I watched a few fights last night just to refresh my memory on his fighting, and he puts so much pressure. Whereas O'Malley likes to get that range and control it himself. I don't know how he will react as much with someone really attacking him. It'll be very different. And then, of course, the wrestling is the biggest thing. You can't be throwing nice, strong body kicks and head kicks when you're against someone like Edgar because his wrestling is high level and his jiu-jitsu black belt as well. So he's just going to smash him. If he can get a leg in his hand, it might be all over for O'Malley as far as what we've seen from him so far and his ground fighting skills.
Yeah, definitely. I think good, even though Yair and Sean aren't exactly the same sort of styles, I still think it's sort of a cool sort of matchup we can compare it to. Whereas Yair is the type who wants to stay on the outside, land his flashy tricks and that. And as we saw with Edgar just didn't give him a chance to do it. As soon as that bell and he was in his face straight away, pressuring. And I think that's exactly what he's going to do here. And I think Edgar does have a power on the feet as well to start hurting Sean, but I think definitely that path to victory will come along that wrestling, that ground and pound round. Exact same thing where he did to Rodriguez, where he just didn't he didn't let him play his game, didn't let him settle. He got in there quick, grabbed him, put him down, and just put a beating onto him until he had to quit.
And then conversely, when Edgar fought Holloway, he seemed to have troubles dealing with the range of Holloway through the fight as well. So that could be a point for O'Malley just to keep him on the end of the jab and keep him away from him, lots of straight punches. Because Edgar does punch a little bit short when you watch him fighting. He lands them on people that have got similar range. But when you take that extra little bit of range like Holloway has, he had more trouble to land. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. I do think that Holloway fight is would be a different stylistic matchup for Sean, because even Max, I feel like Max would definitely have a lot better takedown defense than Sean O'Malley. And plus Max's hands are a lot better. Like Max wasn't really kick heavy or anything like that. He was very happy to keep him at range of the kicks, sort of control the center in that way. I feel like Sean O'Malley he'll give up that pressure in that space quickly. Like it'll be easier to get Sean O'Malley on the back foot for Edgar than it would be to get Max Holloway on the back foot.
And for some reason, I just feel like the volume of Edgar with his punching, if he does manage to get through the range and start landing, I just feel like that volume might take away O'Malley's heart a little bit if he starts landing, which he seems to do. You know, he's not like a massive KO artist, but he lands a lot of like volume sort of punches. And I can imagine that just wearing down O'Malley, perhaps.
Oh, yeah, exactly right. Like as we all seen, like O'Malley has obviously got some sort of, maybe not now, but he has his issues where he's like had bad ankles and stuff like that. Even though I'm not saying might get leg kicked and collapse or something, if you wear a few leg kicks, it's going to slow down his movement. Then having slow movement against someone as athletic and explosive and as quick as Frankie is not going to make for a good night for you.
That's true, man. So what's your final prediction for the fight, man? What would you say if it happens?
If it happens, I think Edgar will secure the finish, but I think he might have the first few minutes. He does have to be careful because I think O'Malley won't take that. He knows he can't be on that back foot from the get-go. So I think O'Malley will sort of come in, take the center, try and dictate the pace and keep him at range. But I think eventually Frankie's going to start getting in, making it more of that dogfight. And I think he'll probably crumble him. I'm thinking I'll go second round. TKO, I think Edgar will finish him.
Yeah, man. Once again, I'm on the same sort of path. Unless O'Malley can pull out a Corey Sandhagen knee to the head or something like that, which he could well do. He's powerful enough to do it. If he doesn't manage to pull out a nice single shot that puts Frankie away early in the fight, I think he's going to wear on him and take him out. I think in some sort of ground position, whether it's ground and pound or a submission, I think Frankie's going to take him out within those 3 rounds. So we're on the same sort of idea again. Man, I got to run. So, thanks again for your time, bro. And we'll catch up next time.
Thank you.